Tired of big tech clashing with your Catholic values? Feday Chat is now live on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. It's private, encrypted, and built by Catholics for Catholics, with features like parental controls and more. Connect securely with family, friends, and groups. Download Feday Chat at feday.email. Technology without compromise.
We've all heard from people who should know better in the hierarchy that we haven't really implemented Vatican II. Well, we've only kind of sort of done it, and we need to finish the job. And that's why there's problems in the church, because the renewal hasn't come because we haven't fully implemented it yet. What we're hearing from them is a doubling down on past mistakes. This is a problem that permeates the hierarchy in the church, but especially from the more progressively minded bishops. And I have a story for you like that today that shows just how out of touch with reality many of these bishops are. The bishops of the church absolutely recognize there is a crisis in the church. They're having to close parishes, create parish clusters. They're having to fundamentally reform how the church is governed. At least they think they have to fundamentally reform these things. What they won't consider doing is returning to the way things had been done before all this endless season of change kicked into gear in the 1960s. They are wedded to that moment in history, to the spirit of revolution and the spirit of rebellion from a bygone era, or one that continues to permeate from that bygone era in our time. After all, we do live in a perpetual season of revolution, not only in the church, but in society. And these men have embraced it. They see no problem with it. They think we need more of it. And I am going to turn to you here to the German bishops, because of course the German bishops are going to give you the best example of this. But what you're going to hear, and it's not really a German bishop, this is Cardinal Hollerich, who's from Luxembourg, but this is being reported by the German bishop's official news source, katholisch.de. And when they generally report something, they are endorsing what is being said about that issue. So we turn to them. They give us this headline: Cardinal Hollerich, Catholicism in Europe has a future. Well, I would hope so, Cardinal, that Catholicism in Europe has a future. You would hope that the Catholic Church has a future in Europe. But what you're about to hear from this Cardinal is not that the remedy to the problems in the church is repentance and interior conversion away from the ways of the world into Christ and his faith. Instead, what you're going to hear is that those who denounce modernity and denounce the modern world and modern ways are themselves the problem. And what the church really needs to do is get rid of rigidity and embrace fully the modern world, as if that hasn't been something the church has been doing for decades at this point and has reaped the whirlwind for it. This bishop is saying what the church needs to double down on what it has done. Now, for those who don't know, Cardinal Hollerich was the co-chair, the co-leader of the Synod on Synodality. He's one of the men who coined the term New Synodal Church to describe what synodality was doing to the church, making a new church. And if you're making a new church, you are by default making a new religion as well. Keep this man in mind. He is very influential in Rome, even under a new pope. Turn to the article. Quote, Luxembourg Cardinal Jean-Claude Hollerich sees a future for Catholicism in Europe despite profound changes. While many parishes will collapse and the system will come to an end in the next 10 years, he told the weekly newspaper Die Volk, the church must not become fixated on the past. We must accept that we stand in a history and learn from it. The church must engage more deeply with the secular world, Hollerich said. We must speak in the language of the people when we proclaim the faith. We must listen to the people. He also criticized bishops who oppose the modern world. That's nonsense. There is also a secularization in the church. This is evident both in the right wing, who only care about form, and on the left wing, who emphasize a value-based Catholicism, whose values are no longer connected to God. With a view to the worldwide synodal process, which he oversaw as coordinator, Hollerich called for intensive use of the period until the next synod in 3 years. In his own diocese, he is planning a large assembly with a strong lay presence. The faithful must not simply be administered, he said. In light of collapsing parish structures, Hollerich also urged the Church to strengthen its digital presence. We're not present enough in the virtual world. Broadcasting a Mass online is not enough. According to Hollerich, around 85% of young adults in France who have decided to be baptized stated that they were motivated to do so by online communication. End quote. If you saw the roundtable discussion I did with Matt Gaspers, Tim Flanders, Nick Cavazos, and a few others, Dr. Peter Kwasniewski, you'll see that the discussion of the digital space was front and center. And Cardinal Hollerich actually is correct. We do need to make better use of the digital space and actually go to where young people are, which is actually not really YouTube or Facebook. We need to go to their spaces and communicate to them in a way they'll understand. Well, we have to do it without compromising the faith. And that's the rub. Therein lies the rub. You see, they want to be relevant, the Hollerichs of the church. And they think to be relevant, they need to further secularize things. You see it in their proposed reforms, their proposed restructuring of the church. The typical young person out there doesn't care one bit about the restructuring of the church. What they want is that old-time religion. What they want is something that challenges them, that is a counter, is a antidote to the depravity we see in the world today. And so compromising with the secular world, embracing the modern values, will not get us there. It is not what people want. What people want is a church that actually teaches them how to get to heaven and how to live better lives, and maybe to present a alternative view of right living compared to the narrative presented by the secular world. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that. Not anytime soon, anyway. Not from the bishops of the church. And so this is where laity come in. Cardinal Hollerich is 100% right when he says we need better presence on digital media. But that's a job for you, a job for me. The bishops have mostly surrendered on this issue. Now, I am very curious, though. What do you think of his statement about the modern world? He rejects bishops who reject the modern world. It is a bizarre thing to do. The modern world is basically characterized by depravity. We're not talking, little bits of technology here and there. That's never been the problem. Technology is a tool. It can be used or misused by the person who uses it. The problem is people. And the problem with people is sin and a rejection of God, rejection of the commandments, and a rejection of the grace he freely gives to us and offers to us if we only will reach out and take it. That's the problem. We don't hear much about repentance in the gospel anymore. We do hear about conversion a lot, though. These days, it's ecological or synodal conversion. Very strange stuff, to be sure. Not the stuff of the gospel. I'm curious what you think about this, so let me know in the comments, please. And like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. Sharing this on social media helps a lot, too. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.